We're gonna have it steamed over there in the wok. And so, yeah, that's how. Okay, guys, it looks like it's starting to caramelize here. I'm noticing a piece here and there. It's just like, oh my God, that is too caramelized. But the thing is we just got a whole batch of raw onions in here, and I just gotta make sure that they're gonna cook properly. That's the thing. Usually, when you're doing this step here all at once, so everything is like all the onions are like in the same stage of cooking. You know, you don't want to have one that's like already done and you're just starting a raw one, which I just did here now. But it's okay, because what you're doing is you're kind of just like, you have it on this lower temperature here anyway, which you're supposed to do to protect it from getting mesquite. See how it'll brown in sections? We'll get this throughout the thing, and I mean, the point is you don't want it to taste bad. The point is like, you want your onions and your garlic to be like intact, just browned, not mesquite. And see, already at this temperature, it's like I'm getting those onions done better, but it's like it's gonna be browning my stuff too fast, I feel like. So it's we're at the stage almost where we could add soy sauce. It's pretty good. I'm tasting it now. It looks like it's almost. Adding the soy sauce at this stage, we're not going to lose. I'm going to tell you guys, this is probably the foundation of much of Asian cooking. The soy sauce with the veggies. Soy sauce, oil, and veggies. And honestly, it smells so great right now. I don't know if I'm going to do much else. I think I'm going to just go like this. I'm going to have faith that the veggies were properly browned. And I'm going to return the dial to off. I'm going to prepare my station over here, and we're going to add it for the wok. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, guys, so I started the dumplings here. All this is 2 cups of flour. This is whole wheat flour. We're going to make this with whole wheat flour. I think this is a great way to make dumplings. And then over here, this is actually a wok. So this I'm going to be boiling my dumplings in. So I don't have the heat on just yet. But here are my caramelized onions. And so you can see, it's like, you don't want these onions to burn. It's like, these are okay. You can see they're not burnt, that the edges are fine. As soon as you get burning, you have an omelet. You're like, oh no, why did they burn the onions? They would have been a great omelet, except they burned the onions. Now it's a horrible omelet. So it's like one of those deals. You don't want to burn the onions, but you want them caramelized, because that's pretty nice. Guys, what else do I need here? In this step, where's the olive oil? Who done what with the olive oil? I've almost consumed the whole thing of olive oil, and there's not another thing. That's crazy. Okay. Well, I have to go get some more olive oil. Anyway, we start with whole wheat flour here. We've got extra virgin olive oil, and let's begin here. All we're gonna do is we're gonna add water, cold water and a little bit of oil, and then we're gonna mix it around to the point where it's a wet sand, right? So that's about. You let the water sort of like crown the top of it, you know. I'm just you don't want to put too much water in where it's just like, oh my god, this is just floating in here. But you don't want to put so little that it hasn't been submerged. You want enough where it's submerged, and now it's going to start turning into wet sand. So I can get the on here. This is really the secret to making bread. Is like you start with the wet sand. You basically, for 1 cup of flour, you add 1 cup of water. And now, because it's 1-to-1, it's very sandy, it's very wet. Look at this. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to top it up with more flour until it's nice and smooth. Until it's like, if you started adding more, it would crack. It would dry and crack, and we don't want that. That's the worst. You can't get back from that. So that's why we start out more wet than dry. Is because as you're adding flour, you can get drier, but once it's once it's too dry, once you start out too dry, it's already messed up. Unless your bread is rising, unless you have rising bread, in which this case we don't have rising bread, we haven't added yeast. All we're doing is making it into a bowl. Bear with me here, guys. I don't have an assistant today, and so all these camera tricks are my own. Usually when I start cooking, I like having all the ingredients prepared, but the flour here, that's a different story altogether. It has its own packaging. It fell out of the bag, and so it's just like I had to go get it specially. Okay, so you can see I'm just flipping it around. I'm just getting it nice and I'm getting it into the bread. It's not yet, it hasn't turned from mud yet. It's still mud. I can still feel it in my fingers. So I want to keep pressing. I want to keep, adding a little bit of dry flour, so that it's being pressed through the dry flour so that it's no longer mud. So you're going to wind up with something like, basically every time you're just kind of like making like a little ball. You're kneading the ball. You're kneading the ball, then you're putting it back into the ball. You know how you do with flour. And so you're going to wind up with something like this, right? So it's not smooth, but it's close to smooth. You see that? So it's like, it's got enough flour from the outside where it's dry now. But what we're going to do is we're going to just let it rest, because that we don't want it to crack. So that's perfect. This is the perfect consistency you want. It's still it's still almost like sandy in the middle. Man, this is whole wheat, So you can see here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start taking chunks of this, pinching out a chunk, say like, what you want to do is pinch out a chunk like this. So this will be one of your, and then basically you flatten this with a roller. And we add some more flour at that stage. But right here, guys, this is a good starting dumpling dough ball. So it's just water, whole wheat flour, olive oil, and we've gotten to the consistency we're going to use to basically take pieces off of it to then begin to then begin the process. So you can tell it's just a little bit wet on the wet side, but it doesn't matter because we're going to add flour as we continue. So, okay, I guess I'll start with one just now. But the thing is, I'm also going to prepare a potato. So, well, you know what? No, we're gonna have to add the potato. So right now we're actually gonna make a fried potato in the air fryer, like a French fry, and that's also gonna be our filling. So, but we have our dumpling. I mean, you can from this stage you can basically make whatever kind of filling you want. We have already here the onion and the garlic. You know, we could begin this just as an onion garlic filling. Just with onion and garlic would be our filling, and but I think we want to add a little bit of something in there too. Usually we would also add cheese, but you know, honestly, our dipping sauce is going to be soy sauce and ranch, so we won't need cheese. We'll have potato. We'll have onion, garlic, soy sauce. It's going to be very good. Okay, guys, so give me 1 second here. I'm going to start to prepare the potatoes. I'll show you how that's done really easily. Okay, guys, here I have a large russet potato. I'm going to show you how I'm going to prepare this for the air fryer in like about a minute. So basically what you want to do is you want to start with the large pieces, cut it in half. Here again, we're going to just cut it in half. And now, you know, with something like this, these are going to be our wedges. And we want it to be nice and thin. So we're just going to go up and down like this. Almost just like I've done the onion over here. When I prepared the onion, it would have been, you know, pretty thin wedges. Not, you know, it shouldn't be razor thin. It's like I'm getting some pretty thin wedges over here. It doesn't really matter, but it's like the idea is to get thin wedges. You know, in the air fryer, it handles small quantities really well. As soon as you get a large amount, you cross over a threshold, it's like, you know, it's almost like you have to put on the air fryer for like 4 times as long. Like there's this like critical point of inefficiency where that is just like you have to keep the air fryer quantities low to be really good. And so, you know, at this point, it's like I have a lot of potato chips here. But for the sake of this recipe, we're making dumplings, I may, I'll start with like half the potatoes here, and then, I'll run through the other half as I'm making the dumplings, So it's like I'll never run out of the potatoes because there's only so many I can fit in the dumpling boiler at any given time. Okay, so there goes here goes the potato filling. It's sort of, you can see that it's like just sort of one layer here. You see, it's going to get plenty of air. So this is what we want, and then over here we're going to do a second batch in a second. Basically, we want it nice and crispy, and this is like it'll take 15 minutes to make it really nice and crispy. So there you go. Hey guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna have a quick sip of coffee just so that to catch up here. Okay. So yeah, I guess so. The first thing I have to do is I have to make sure I have the ingredients here. If you can see, I have my station lined up here for the dumplings. I've got the filling here. We're gonna have more filling here with the potato, and then we're gonna come here to the boiler, here you can see our dough. It's just resting. you know? So it's, basically we're just going to take chunks off of this. It's like a wet sand. It's like wet sand, and it's going to be tasty because we're going to have soy sauce. We're going to use this, even though this is going to be the filler, sort of the how we're going to eat this after this is boiled. We're going to make this into thin, sort of like thin dumpling wrappers. We're going to add the potato. We're going to add the caramelized onion, soy sauce, garlic, and that's going to be in the dumpling wrapper. And then we're going to add soy sauce and ranch as kind of the final sauce. And so you're just going to have a really good taste. Usually I would keep things simpler. I would have mozzarella. I would basically shave off mozzarella and put that in the dumpling as well. So you're having cheese that's melting on the potato with the onion, garlic, soy sauce. But unfortunately, I don't have mozzarella. I haven't made it to the store. So yeah, we're gonna have the ranch and soy sauce as the kind of adding like another, like a creamy layer. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna come back in 10 minutes when the potatoes are done, and I'm gonna show you how you begin to roll out your dumplings and how freaking easy making dumplings is. Okay, guys. So I'm gonna begin begin our dumpling making process. So as you can see here, we've just got a cutting board. We've got a little bit of whole wheat flour. And we've got a rolling pin, which is just a mason jar. Any size will do, regular size mason jar. Something like this. This one happens to be cleaner, so I'm going to use this. And you can see here, this is the source of our dough. But what we're going to do here is we're just going to sort of pinch out chunks like so. So this is going to be like a little ball like this. That's gonna be our dumpling. So what we're gonna do here is start to roll this out, and this is where, like, all the practice comes in. You'll get to see what works, what doesn't, in terms of dumpling making. But the trick is to get it, not to exaggerate, not to have, not to make it too thin. But to make it decent, it's the idea is to have a thin dumpling. And okay, so something like this is not even I'll show you what filling a dumpling like this would look like. So remember, I have my onion and my garlic in the soy sauce, so I put a little bit over here. Just a little bit to line the bottom of the dumpling. And then I have my fried potatoes over here. I'm just gonna sort of put 1 or 2 or 3 around the dumpling. So it's something like this, okay? So you've got the middle, you've got your fried onion, garlic, soy sauce. You put that into the middle of the dumpling with the potato, the fried potato, and now we're just gonna close this up. And over here we've got the boiling water. We're just gonna pop that in, and we're just gonna keep the station going. So I'm just gonna have my potatoes cooking here. I'm gonna finish up this extra potato, and then, yeah. It's we're gonna at the end of it we're gonna have really. So I'll just keep it going here. I'll show you what it looks like when I close up the dumpling. So basically you just close it up like so, like as if you're rolling a taco or something. And then you pinch the edges. You just bring the edges in. Bring in the edges, pinch. Doesn't have to be perfect, and you just kind of like roll the bottom And then you just, maybe roll it into flour, add a little pressure, sort of like, you don't want there to be like, you don't want it to be gappy. You don't want there to be holes. You want a nice sort of like complete dumpling. If there's a little hole, it's okay. But if it's like, you want the whole thing to cook together. So this you can see it's like I'll wrap it in some powder here in the whole wheat flour. And something like this. Okay, so I'm going to go and dunk this into the boiling water. And so I'll have this going maybe for 3 minutes. I'll fish that out, then I'll put it in and I'll have it sitting over here in the pan. So this is my filling pan, but I can also have this double as where I have my sitting dumplings finish. So I'll put my finished dumplings over here, And so keep an eye on your dumplings. You're going to have a lot of stuff fly off to the surface here, like this flour that I just put on the surface of the dumpling. And, be careful, the little holes like this form. Basically, we're going to fish out the dumpling from below. And we're just going to, hopefully when you create your dumpling, it's sturdy enough where it kind of just holds together. You kind of want to create the shape of the dumpling with your palm. That it's like, that's where most of your shaping effort is actually taking place. That the finishing, the fine touch of the finishing of the dumpling is not as important. So let's do another one here. I mean, this is all practice, and now's a good time to practice. So let's see. Good a time as any. So here you start out with this like little pizza, this mini pizza that could be. And just roll it out flat as it gets, where it's like you give, where you're getting a surface to complete with delicious filling. Okay. Okay. And now, so it's not ideally you get something that looks symmetric, like some kind of big square, big circle, but it's more about the thickness of it. So something like this. It was like 5 potatoes, and you saw that I'll show you here, guys. So I lined it up like this. And you can see now it's like I'm going to start to fold it together, and I'm going to start filling in. Careful here. If you get if you get a clear tear, you kind of want to just push that tear back in, and sort of add a little bit more flour. And sort of pinch, kind of like want to pinch the ingredients back in. But here, even though you have a tear, it's going to be fairly sturdy. It's not going to push on the binding so much. You'll get practice with this, guys. You'll know what's acceptable, what's not, what's going to tear open in your boiling water. Remember, the rule is it's basically, if it's tearing open in the boiling water, it means you had too many ingredients. So basically, you want to have fewer ingredients, and you want to be able to form the entire enclosure of the ingredients. That's basically what it is. And so I'll come over here. I'll show you. Our first dumpling is already ready. I mean, honestly, like, whether you have them boiling here for 5 minutes or you have it seared in a minute, it can almost begin to taste like the same thing. So this is going to be delicious. So this is already a finished dumpling. So and I'm going to continue over here. So here's my dumpling. And there it goes again, So I made sure we had tears over here. I made sure it wasn't structural. I made sure to push everything back in, that it wouldn't be such a big deal. And so now, I'm going to have this over here for as I'm making the dumpling over here. So guys, you're going to have a really delicious dumpling over here. This is whole wheat flour, so it's pretty good. It's tasty. And then you have the salty soy sauce with the flavors and the caramelized onion. This is, you can add more soy sauce. You can put this in a bowl, eat this with a fork, add soy sauce to it, and it's going to be a really nice dumpling. And, we're just making this straight up out of flour and water, a little bit of oil. And, yeah, so there you go, guys. Thanks for watching Cooking with Mark, and, make yourself some dumplings.